Welcome to the Twice Over Movies podcast. If you're new here, check out our website at thetwiceover.com to get a better understanding of how we do our movie reviews. Our goal is to provide insight on elements of a movie which you consider more or less important, so that our scores are never misleading. Remember to follow us at the Twice Over on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and support us on Patreon.
Actually, here, let's just do the spoiler alert. And my true recommendation is that you don't have to go watch this movie unless you want to.
Wait, what?
I guess study film.
What's the spoiler behind that?
My point is, like, usually when I give a spoiler alert, I say, hey, like, it's definitely worth watching this, so don't listen forward unless you've seen it. But for this movie, I don't think you're gonna be spoiled too much if you haven't seen it yet, so you can continue listening honestly. And watch it if you want to watch it. I think there's nothing to spoil in this movie, and even if you watch it once, I think if you like this movie, you're going to be drawn back to it like I have. I've watched this movie maybe 3 times. I don't know why I keep watching it, even though it's like it moves at such a glacial pace. It's just something about it. It's completely different from anything else. You like Philip Seymour Hoffman a lot, though.
I do, yeah. And I do like character studies more than I think.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, also,
this was my first time
for
watching
aesthetics, I wanted to point out Johnny Greenwood's score for this movie was amazing. I think he's worked with Paul Thomas Anderson quite a bit in There Will Be Blood and then also in Phantom Thread, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But in this movie, it was amazing. The score was hypnotic and beautiful and eerie and like out of this world and fit the movie. Great.
I agree with you. The score was pretty good in this movie. I did enjoy it.
So, question for you, Faraz.
Yeah.
What was this movie really about?
I think this movie was about Freddy more than anything, way more than the Master, or I shouldn't call him that, way more than Lancaster. And it's a movie about
the relationship.
Not so much the relationship, but being at a loss and being susceptible to what's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. To a cult, I guess, but I mean it's a little more abstract than that.
Yeah, character study. Yeah, sure. It kind of it describes the movie, but it's more than that. The themes that it's trying to explore, they're so elusive, and I don't know. It's about individuality. It's about, like you said, susceptibility to cults. It's about Freddy being at a loss for what to do with his life. Right? The war's over, and now what is he supposed to do? In one scene, not the war, the commanding officer or someone, he's like, people aren't going to understand at home what you guys went through. And that's that's completely true for Freddy. He doesn't have any direction in his life. I think it's really hard to define what this movie is really about, because it toys with so many different subjects, and it never really gives any easy answers. And it's difficult. It's a difficult movie to watch for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair assessment. Like and I think this is what would push most people like away from watching this movie, is like seeing how undefined what this movie really is.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you. We talked about like Freddy, and again we've been talking about Freddy, how he's like the one who's at a loss, who is susceptible, who's at war. But what is it about Lancaster Dodd that draws him to Freddy? And why does he continue?
Oh yeah, that's one of my
continue to support him.
Mm-hmm. So the nagging question, that's one of the reasons I think he can't pin down where exactly he's met him. I think Lancaster Dodd, who might buy into his own BS about past lives and such, he might think that Freddy is himself in a past life, possibly, or maybe something related to that angle. There's also that Freddy is such a loyal person to him, and I think that's why he's attracted to him. They're inseparable for that reason. There might be also this unexplored, bromance between the two.
Maybe. I mean, one thing I wasn't 100% sure about was the guy at the department store when Freddy is a photographer, was that Lancaster Dodd that he gets in a fight with?
So yeah, I thought that might be him.
And I kept thinking, is that what they're referring to, like that we've met before?
Yeah, And I did some research on that, on why the characters look so similar. They're definitely two different actors, but why were they made to look
but they're similar?
Similar, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was strange.
Yeah.
But okay, so
what's your answer to that question? Why are they inseparable?
My answer to that question from just the outer shell of it is that Lancaster Dodd needed someone to do his processing stuff on, to basically do his tests, to like you said, he's his guinea pig, right? And he wanted to have someone, I don't know, be his guinea pig for his experiments, and then he can write his book and make some money. So that's how I saw it at like a high level. But like you said, there's definitely something else about it, that because he could probably find that anywhere. Or
true,
I
think he had that with
people to be subjects.
Yeah, but with Freddy, it was something else. It wasn't this like Freddy didn't fulfill something like what's the word, concrete that he needed. He didn't fulfill a need. It was just something more emotional about it.
Especially after that dinner scene where you have his Lancaster's daughter, son-in-law, and his wife, all three of them be like, "Hey, we don't want Freddy around anymore."
Right, and they presented rational arguments for the two of them.
He ignores them, or not ignores them, but says like it's our duty to help him.
Yeah, and he doesn't. I think there's something he's not saying in that scene that he knows his family won't understand, so he doesn't say it.
Yeah.
He doesn't properly explain himself to him. Yeah, and I think there's also that element of opposites attracting, because that's what they are in this movie, right?
Yeah, I read a good piece where, like, he's not just an opposite in, you have someone who's super confident in Lancasters, and then you have someone who's, like, the total opposite. Physically, they're total opposites. Lancaster's a kind of big guy, and Freddy is like frail, and one seemingly can control his emotions and anger, and one can't. But we do see Lancaster lose it a couple times, and one's like super charismatic and has people following him, whereas Freddy is like a super creep. Like, it's creepy to watch him.
It's but do you think he's a creep?
Dude, he's pretty creepy, man.
What?
It's tough to watch. I mean, because part of it is obviously his, like, maybe what he's gone through war, and then we also know that his mom was in a mental institution, so maybe something is hereditary with his condition. I mean, he's got some obvious mental health issues, so it's like you kind of feel bad saying, "Oh, he's just a creep," but like, I mean, he has some insanely creepy behavior.
Yeah. Okay. I wouldn't call him a creep. I just call him unhinged, and I don't know.
It's one thing to be unhinged, but like he seems a little sex obsessed, so that's why I quoted the creep label.
That. Okay.
I mean, he is, right?
But there were others along with him in that
What do you mean?
In that scene on the beach. It's not. It's not him that made that sand sculpture.
That's also okay. There, War is a bunch of guys, but like his. It continues beyond that, right? When he's on the boat, when he first, it's like after the wedding, Lancaster's daughter gets married, right? And he goes downstairs to listen in on one of the processing sessions that's happening upstairs.
And then he poses that question to that lady.
Yeah, he poses that question like, "Do you want to fuck?" to just another lady there, and it's like, okay, man, he's just a creep. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he's not able to read the situation well. Like, they're all working, and he's just like,
I have a question for you.
Sure.
My biggest complaint is probably that we didn't get more from the Master or from Lancaster Dodd.
Yeah, he's pretty enigmatic, right? They don't get into him.
Did you want more? Did you think if we got more that it would be a more entertaining movie?
Yeah, I think I'd agree. There were moments in that movie where we were focusing a little on some side characters, and we could have used that time to develop Lancaster Dodd a little bit better, or explain his backstory, or
exactly, and where he's coming from, how he ended up where he is, and why he has this
following,
why he's pushing this cause. I guess explore that. I mean, he's clearly a super interesting character, both in real life, to just like read up on like who this person was. But that's like true for any like cult leader, right?
Right.
But nonetheless, that's interesting. It's fascinating to either read or see, because it would have kept more of the audience engaged.
Like yourself, right? You would have been
like myself.
And I think the Paul Thomas Anderson, he made a decision early on to keep his character pretty oblique, enigmatic, not getting much, not getting too into his backstory. Just so we could see the character for how Freddy sees him, because Freddy meets him when Freddy meets Lancaster Dodd when the movement's already underway, and he's already put up this almost wall, right? If Freddy had met him early in his life, we might have learned more about the character.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a conscious decision by the production team and the director and stuff, but nonetheless, I think it would have been...
another way into that character would have been through Amy Adams' character, the wife. We could have seen the master through her eyes.
I thought her use was a little...
underplayed?
It was a little underplayed, but still significant, right? Like, she clearly... There were some scenes that were... there's a one where she's in the bathroom with him, giving Lancaster a hand job, and it's like, hey, you can do what you want as long as people that I know don't know about it. And then there's the scene at the end when Freddy goes to England to see Lancaster Dodd, and his wife is sitting there, and she's like she calls him out, like, you look unwell, like, you look sick, are you? And she was kind of the one calling out, and she tells Freddy early on in the movie, like, hey, you can't hang out with us, or can't be with us
because of his influence, right? Because of his influence,
and like, if you don't quit boozing, because he's a deranged, unhinged alcoholic.
Sure. And he's bringing that to Lancaster Dodd, right? Because Lancaster is also indulging in those
not
habits.
Just Lancaster Dodd, but the family, right? To her.
Yeah, true. She might be afraid for herself, yeah. Personal reasons. That last scene in the movie, that final dialogue, that sits the most with me, I guess. That final scene, the master, when Amy Adams' character walks out, Lancaster Dodd, he's more free to talk to Freddy, and he talks to Freddy about the possibility of Freddy rejoining the cause, but he sets conditions on it, right? He's like, you can join now. I forgot the exact conditions. Can you help me out?
I don't remember the exact conditions, man.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I just remember him saying that, like, if you join, that you can't leave again.
Yeah, and then he talks about, like, if he doesn't join now, that in any future life they'll be sworn enemies or something, right?
Yeah, and not just that, like, if he doesn't join now, he doesn't want to see him ever again.
Right.
And if they do come across in the future life that that they would be, like, he would not have any mercy on him, and they would be enemies. Yeah. Which was kind of interesting.
It was. I think both characters were
emotional about
they're
it.
Both, I think, emotional, because they both clearly love each other, but yet Freddy's never going to become fully under his fold. He's always going to be like some sort of wanderer, right?
Yeah.
The master's concerned about his own movement. He can't be chasing after Freddy.
And his movement seems to have, like, obviously grown. It's international. He's got a school.
Right.
Like, the master has moved on, it seems like, and I think Freddy kind of sees that too.
Yeah. He still offers his services, right? So.
And yeah, he's stuck in the same place, really. He's back home, right? He goes back to Massachusetts and goes to see Doris finally, and she's not there. She's married and has kids. And
yeah.
Like, he's back where he was, like, before he even went off to the war, pretty much. And like, he hasn't, like, nothing has progressed for him in any way other than that relationship he had with Lancaster Dodd.
Yeah. He almost tries to process that, the chick he meets in the bar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, like, that's, like, how the movie really ends, right? Because then he starts processing her with the questions that he was first asked by Lancaster Dodd.
Yeah.
While they're having sex, of course. I mean, yeah, it's fascinating. It's a little interesting. But it's still boring at the end of the day. Like, you have to be in a really certain mood to want to see this, and
that I completely agree with. You've got to be completely patient and in the mood to watch this movie, because it is going to be difficult.
It's not even too long, right? It's about 2 hours long, so it's not like it's dragging, but it's...
The pace is slow.
The pace is slow, yeah. And, like, not much is really happening. Other than, like you said, some of the dialogue is worth, like, paying attention to. Some of the acting, I mean, not some, all of the acting is actually pretty exceptional. And it's a beautiful movie, aesthetically speaking, right? We said the cinematography is really nice. The score is really good. So it has, like, elements that make a good movie. And that's why I think you can, when you look it up, I mean, the critic score versus the
audience score. There's going to be a big divide there.
There's quite a discrepancy. And I mean, I tried to find that balance here when I was giving my scores too. And I mean, it'll be reflective in our categories, obviously, even in yours. I mean, you definitely like the movie, but
I did find
I mean,
faults in it at the same time. Yeah.
yeah, you had your faults in it, right? So, man, your tally and your order gives you an 89.
Okay.
Mine gives it a 74. So honestly, it's like you're the critic here and I'm the audience.
Yeah. I think we're going to find like similar scores in depending on who picked the movie. Don't you think?
Yeah. No, probably.
Yeah. I'm rewatching that final scene, and it's about the master telling Freddy Freddy's all about like being free and independent, and the line he specifically says is "Free wins and no tyranny for you, Freddy. You pay no rent." And he's telling him to go to that landless latitude and good luck. He's like, if you find a way to serve no master, then let the rest of us know. And Freddy's going on about the final dream he had. Yeah, it's interesting.
So him going to England itself was from the dream. Like, he didn't actually get a call.
Yeah.
I found that to be interesting. I was like, oh, how do you know where to go?
Where to find him? That he needed his cool cigarettes.
Oh yeah, true. The cool cigarettes. I didn't even like think of it, but I mean, I guess if you're a friend,
you would know.
Like, hey,
yeah,
this guy would appreciate this.
True. All right.
Anyway, Fahad, I think we're pretty good here.
Yeah, I think let's call it.
All right. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll be back next week with another one.
Thanks for listening to this production of The Twice Over. If you haven't already, subscribe and follow wherever you get your podcast. And remember to support us on Patreon or by sharing the podcast with a friend. Feel free to contact us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at The Twice Over, or email us at comments@thetwiceover.com. All of the music you heard is from Amerigo Gazaway. Check him out on Bandcamp and Spotify.